Today we are going to discuss representations of LGBT characters in film, so we may as well begin with the Vito-Russo test, inspired by the Bechdel test and named after the co-founder of GLAAD, otherwise known as the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. A film passes the Vito-Russo test if these three criteria are met. 1. The film contains a character that is identifiably lesbian, gay, bisexual, and/or transgender. 2. That character must not be solely or predominantly defined by their sexual orientation or gender identity, i.e., they are made up of the same sort of unique character traits commonly used to differentiate straight characters from one another. 3. The LGBT character must be tied into the plot in such a way that their removal would have a significant effect, meaning they are not there to simply provide colorful commentary, paint urban authenticity, or perhaps most commonly, set up a punchline. The character should matter.
So the question is, why does this matter? Is there a difference if the gay character is a man or a woman? Do films with gay male characters tend to pass this test more often than films with lesbian characters? To answer this, we have to turn the discussion to a couple of unfortunate stereotypes of LGBT characters in film. These include, but are not limited to, the heteroflexible woman, the predatorial and often doppelganger lesbian, the sissy gay man, and the multidimensional gay man. Let's start with the heteroflexible woman. This character is a straight woman who makes an offhand comment about a past romantic or sexual experience with another woman, but insists it was just a phase, and this aspect of her personality is never mentioned again. While this archetype is not a gay person, it is an important part of queer representation in that it is often mistaken as queer representation. As noted by Sue Wilkinson, a professor of feminist and health studies, such depictions can have the effect of trivializing and depoliticizing same-sex sexuality by portraying it as a fashionable add-on to otherwise conventional heterosexuality, and as a way to reify outmoded, dichotomous models of sexuality by presenting same-sex experimentation as a means of confirming one's own essential heterosexuality. An example of this archetype is Margot Tenenbaum from Wes Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums, where the extent of the exploration of her sexuality is her groping a half-naked woman that is meant to be her supposed lover. There is no dialogue, and it is the only scene with nudity in the movie. A similar phenomenon occurs with Jennifer Lawrence's character in Silver Linings Playbook, as she describes in grotesque detail her sordid affair with a female coworker.
Can I ask you one more question? Were there any women?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
What was that like?
Hot.
Jesus Christ.
This is solely for the pleasure of the male protagonist and consequently the male consumer.
Was it like older women, a sexy teacher who wants to seduce you?
Made me sit on her lap and do things, yeah.
What? You sat on her lap?
Mm-hmm.
She told you what to do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
On the other side of the spectrum, we have the ideas of the doppelganger and predatorial lesbian. As well as in film, this image is also perpetuated in fashion photography and mainstream pornography. The doppelganger lesbian is a lookalike to her partner. Not only do lesbian couples tend to look similar to each other, they often behave similarly. Sometimes these lesbian doubles are eroticized, sometimes vilified. Eroticized, of course, in pornographic representations, but similar examples can be found in film. However, the idea of the doppelganger has become less common in recent films. The doppelganger lesbian is a lookalike to her partner. Not only do lesbian couples tend to look similar to each other, they often behave similarly. Sometimes these lesbian doubles are eroticized, sometimes vilified, eroticized of course in pornographic representations, but similar examples can be found in film. However, the idea of the doppelganger has become less common in recent films. When lesbian couples are not depicted as doppelgangers in films, the majority of the time they will fall into two tired roles. One member of the couple is often innocent, exploring their sexuality or being confused by sudden feelings, pushing her into a relationship with the other member of the couple. The second girl in the couple is often experienced, either in life, sex, or both. And this more experienced girl tends to prey on the other girl, recognizing and taking advantage of her naivety and inexperience. While the relationship can often be positive for both parties with mutual feelings on each side, the fact remains that one woman must be innocent and one must be more predatorial. This predatorial depiction imparts the idea that lesbians are only driven by physical instincts, chief among them a desire for sex, which is obviously not the case in the real world. Due to the predatory nature of these relationships, it is difficult for the viewer to accept that this relationship is truly fueled by love and not lust. This trend furthers heteronormative standards for homosexual couples, as one member of the couple is the predator and therefore more masculine.
Much of Hollywood's earlier portrayal of gay men is focused on humor, so as to avoid controversy that would follow a film even hinting at tolerance. This is illustrated through the sissy archetype. Films dating back to 1926 with gay men are portrayed as having distinctly feminine stereotypes, such as leaping on a table and shrieking at the sight of a mouse, or making effeminate and extravagant body movements such as a flick of the wrist or a sachet, illustrated by the character Damien from Tina Fey's Mean Girls.
And I want my pink shirt back! I want my pink...
As films progressed, so did the concept of the sissy. The focus shifted from frivolous attempts at humor to an emphasis on ambiguous sexual dialogue and double entendre. The emphasis of humor in the sissy gay man's femininity is what in turn perpetuates expectations of masculinity in both males and females.
The multidimensional gay man is typically more masculine, and he is included in our discussion because these men are undoubtedly given more flexibility in terms of exploration of their character outside their sexuality. In the instance of Brokeback Mountain, there was a looming controversy over whether the characters were even gay, to the extent that Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays Jack Twist, insisted in an interview that it was a story of two heterosexual men that fall in love.
In fact, Annie Proulx, author of the original novel, explains that she fell into a habit of seeing the world in terms of shifting circumstances overly upon natural surroundings. Some of these include geography, geology, climate weather, the deep past, and the immediate events which shaped these characters and partly determines what happened to them. For these characters, their sexuality is a system of circumstances that must be overcome.
Their struggles overlap with their families, their economic status in their community, the pressures of masculinity, and a host of other issues. The same goes for Milk, a biopic about Harvey Milk, who was one of the first openly gay men to obtain public office. Harvey is a political activist, a man that worries about growing old, a businessman.
Yeah, I would like to join the, what's it called, the Eureka Valley Merchants Association. I'm not an interloper.
A leader. This type of man fulfills his identity with his sexuality, but his sexuality does not fulfill his entire characterization. This type of gay character has the ability to explore different aspects of their masculinity, because Hollywood believes that they deserve to have a wider range of stories, and are undeserving of the single story.
Here are the facts about queer representation in film. GLAAD released its second annual Studio Responsibility Index, which examines the LGBT inclusiveness of films released in 2013 by major Hollywood studios. The results were grim. Of the 102 releases by the 7 major Hollywood studios, only 17 of them had any LGBT characters at all. Those that did offered up a grand total of 25 different LGBT characters, some of whom were on screen for no more than a few seconds and might be better described as impressions. The gender breakdowns look like this. Of those 25 characters, 16 were male. This means that there were 9 female LGBT characters in 102 movies for an entire year. According to national spokesperson Wilson Cruz, on top of this grim statistic, they're usually characters that only appear for a few seconds at a time in order to land a joke, usually at our expense. Only 7 of the 17 major studio films in 2013 that had LGBT characters managed to pass the Vito Russo test.